or under the shade. And para sa inyong masyadong conscious sa forma, lalo na ang mga macho, hindi po nakakahiyang magdala ng payong. Mas nakakahiyang mamatay ng heat stroke o skin cancer dahil sa angas nyo. Okay? Because I know some people, they still refuse to carry an umbrella. I bring an umbrella wherever I go. It's very useful for all those dogs that are running around, the feral cats, dogs all over the street. And it's very useful pag medyo napapagod ka na, may pang-alalay ka. And when it's hot and you are walking in the street, then you at least have your own shade. So drink water, use an umbrella, stay indoors if you can, and try to take care of yourself. Okay. Thank you to all of our subscribers of Cignal TV. Maraming salamat po for supporting us and joining us here on Agenda Today. We are going to have two interesting ladies who are all about banking, if I'm not mistaken. Hindi ko masyadong nababasa lahat, pero we will get to talk about their careers, and especially because this is Women's Month, and so we will get their views about the workplace, about gender equality. But mind you, the Philippines, as I've read, often is in the leadership board when it comes to gender equality, especially in the workplace. Okay, so thank you also to PLDT, Home Fiber Optic Internet, Mr. Marco Borlongan, for your continued assistance whenever we need help. Okay, let's now go to our daily starter for today. And I picked it up from American Pastor Joel Osteen, who says, the more you ask God, the less you have to depend on people. As we go into the Holy Week's commemoration, may I remind you of this. The more you ask God, the less you have to depend on people. Unfortunately, because we are human, we tend to depend on ourselves and on others for advice, for help, when we want to do something, when we're thinking of something, or when we are confronted with something. But through the years and with age, meaning ko na, with age, you come to realize that why is it that we ask man first, and then when we are desperate, we cry out to God? Eh di unahin nyo na si Lord, magtanong na kayo kay Lord, go to God first so you don't have to go to Him in the end. And I'm reminded of a situation that Steve Harvey said. He constantly talks to God. In every way, place, manner, or form, he talks to God, so that if when he really needs to talk to God, he doesn't have to introduce himself. Okay, kumbaga, kilala na siya ni Lord. Okay, let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star, March 28, 2023, and the headline goes, Teves eyed as one of Degamo slay brains. Okay. Links to crime ring behind multiple Negros killings probe. The Department of Justice believes that a criminal organization linked to Negros Oriental 3rd District Representative Arnolfo Teves Jr. is likely responsible for the murder of Governor Roel Degamo and several other killings in the province. Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla revealed this yesterday, saying the organization is involved in illegal gambling, assassinations, and other activities that violate the law. Okay, yan po, no, na that is the that's the headline on the front page of the Philippine Star. And at the top of the front page, summer power water supply interruptions seen. Okay, after being told by certain officials that there will be sufficient electricity and there will be sufficient water supply, eto na po. Okay, some of them are beginning to take it back and are warning us that we will soon be feeling water interruptions and the possibility of power shortage or power interruption. Kumbaga, ayan, kasi nauna na naman ang mga bunganga ninyo, hindi na bibig, bunganga na, saying, hindi ma-short, hindi ma-short. Ngayon, bawi. Okay. DA, again, ito na naman, isa na naman to. DA exec warns of possible pork shortage by April. Yesterday, I read a news item telling you that there was a projection of a pork shortage by June. Well, they've upgraded the declaration. A shortage in the supply of pork could be felt starting next month, amid the outbreak of African swine fever or ASF in the country. At a press conference, Agriculture Assistant Secretary and Deputy Spokesman Rex Estoperez confirmed the earlier warning of the National Livestock Program that there would be a shortage. Okay, yan na po. Okay. Kanya lang, yung National Livestock Report said June. Ginawa ng April nga. Baka gusto nyo, next week na. Total, Holy Week naman eh. Okay, on the other side of the top of the front page, DILG Secretary Benhar Abalos, head of the Special Task Force Degamo, presents firearms and explosives discovered by the PNP CIDG at a sugar mill reportedly owned by former Negros Oriental Governor Pride Henry Teves in Santa Catalina Town. Okay, yan po, no, makikita ninyo high power assault rifle, mukhang pang sniper pa. Well, not necessarily, but it's clearly a high-powered assault rifle with a scope. And on the table, there are even more similar weapons, and you have to ask yourself, how on earth did these weapons enter the country? Okay? It is a good thing that the DILG, the CIDG, and the PNP confiscated these high-powered weapons. But the question is, paano nakakapasok yung mga gamit ng demonyo na mga yan? I'm sorry if I'm being very graphic this morning, ladies and gentlemen, but I do not want the Philippines to experience school shootings, random shootings, and even more assassinations. Ayan po, ibang klaseng level na yung mga baril na yan. Pang pelikulan lang yan eh. Okay? Anyway, wag na, Beltran, ang blood pressure mo, maganda yung mga bisita mo, wag mong guluhin ang araw mo. Okay, the center of the front page features, okay, yan. And now showing, okay, President Bongbong Marcos walking, okay, the Caloocan, España section of North Luzon Expressway Connector yesterday. Hindi po siya naglalakad dahil naubusan ng gasolina, naglalakad po siya to open yung sector na yan, which will make travel time between from Caloocan City to Manila only 5 minutes daw. Okay. Ganyan na maganda. Shown in the picture from right, NLEX Corporation President Luigi Bautista, Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation Chairman Manuel V. Pangilinan or MVP, Public Works Highway Secretary Manuel Bonoan, Transportation Secretary Ginbee Bautista, and MPTC President Rodrigo Franco. So at least meron tayong good news, okay, na yung para sa inyong mga bumabiyahe between Caloocan and Manila, from Caloocan, siguro doon sa Rotonda ni Bonifacio, all the way to Espanya, 5 minutes na laang. Okay. Meanwhile, partnerships needed to build decent homes for Filipinos. Okay. The government is studying ways to use its idle land for housing programs, President Marcos said yesterday as he called for cooperation between state agencies and the private sector in providing decent shelters to Filipinos. Ayan po, sana sinabi ni President BBM, panawagan niya, yung decent po, ibig sabihin makatao, hindi makahayop, o hindi makababoy, hindi doghouse, hindi pigpen. Kasi yung ibang mga private sector developer dyan, ang ginagawang bahay, mas maganda pa yung bahay ng kanilang mga po babies o yung mga aso nila. Okay, moving forward, we have a warning from the DOH. Acts of penitence may be harmful to health. Okay, para sa inyong mga magpepenitensya who will flagellate, who are making anong tawag nila doon, panata, okay, a vow to have yourselves crucified or to walk on the asphalt with your barefoot for several kilometers. The DOH said, baka mas makasama pa yung gagawin nyong yan. Baka ma-infection kayo, baka ma-heat stroke kayo, baka ma-tetanus kayo, okay? And personally, a word from Kuya Cito, kung may kamag-anak kayong ganyan, okay, ang tanong ko lang, are you trying to be God? Okay? Because only God could do that for us. Only Jesus Christ could do that for us. It is not the act of suffering that is important in the crucifixion of Christ. It is that He who is without sin offered Himself out of love so that we who are full of sin can be forgiven and stand before God. Okay, yun po. Kung may kasalanan ka, kahit magpapako ka sa krus, not valid. Okay? Sinasabi ko lang po yan. Magalit kayo sa akin. Kasi marami akala, papapako ako sa krus, magpapalatigo ako. Hello, hindi yung pahirap ang punto. Ang punto dito, nagpahirap yung walang kasalanan para sa imo. Okay, let's now, Gabriel, we will go for a quick break. And when we return, let's have a nice Tuesday morning with our two guests today here on Agenda. Some of you may not realize, pangklase, no? Some of you may not have realized, it is Women's Month, okay? It is a global celebration of women, and it is a good thing to observe. It is our way of honoring women. Ako, in-honor ko na yung wife ko. 2 araw ko nang dinadala ng breakfast in bed, and I have been blessed for doing that. But some people have really pushed pushed it further. There's even now talk of giving women 3-day leave when they have their monthly period, etc. So parang kuminsan, some people are asking, what is really the best way to celebrate Women's Month? And in the Philippines, kailangan pa bang i-memorize yan? Karamihan naman ng mga boss sa Pilipinas, babae. Pati sa bahay, boss na sila. Okay, let's get to know our guests and talk about all of this. Gabriel, please roll out the Betamax.
Maria Cristina Ginbee is the Executive Vice President and Head of Consumer Banking of the Bank of the Philippine Islands. Before joining BPI, Go was Vice President at Citibank Philippines. Go is a member of the Management Association of the Philippines, Filipina CEO Circle, and Next Gen Organization of Women Corporate Directors. Maria Christine Josefina DD Balmes is the Deputy Executive Director for Operations at the Philippine Commission on Women. She represents the Commission in various international and national engagements and interagency initiatives. Aside from women empowerment and gender equality, Balmes also advocates climate justice and renewable energy.
Okay, good morning, ladies, and thank you for joining us this morning. Ginbee and Christine, good morning to both of you.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Cito. Good morning, Christine.
Good morning, Ginbee. Good morning, Sir Cito. Happy National Women's Month to everyone.
Happy
National
Women's
lang
Month.
ba? Hindi ba international,
International.
global, and galactic?
Sir Cito, in the Philippines lang po yung National Women's Month, but yung International Women's Day po, it's the one that's international.
Ayun, okay. Sa atin, isang buwan.
Yes,
Sa kanila,
po.
isang araw lang.
Yes, medyo
Sabi
pabibo
mo nga,
po tayo.
every day, diba dapat, Cito? Every day.
Yes.
Of course, definitely. Sip-sip tayo eh. Anyway, in all seriousness, ladies, for your respective organization, I'll start with you, Christine, because you are with the commission. Ano ba ang tawag doon sa agency mo?
Philippine Commission on Women.
Philippine Commission on Women. How are you celebrating or marking this occasion?
Well, of course, we are the lead agency po in pushing for gender equality and women's empowerment. So annually, we celebrate the National Women's Month, and we do have a lot of activities specifically for this year and this administration. We have a new theme po, which we call We for Gender Equality and Inclusive Society, and it focused mainly on the participation and representation of women in the ICT and the digital technology for this year, since it's the theme of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. So this year po, it's ICT and digital technology.
ICT and digital technology awareness or empowerment, or what specific program or projects are you implementing?
We are actually, parang yung theme po for this National Women's Month is yung representation and participation of women in ICT. Mababa po kasi yung enrollment natin on for women in STEM courses and also STEM in senior high school. So yung pinupush natin this year is for women to be aware na there are a lot of women in these sectors, given the opportunity lang po sana that they be able to participate and be leaders in this field. So meron po kaming series of a series of a webinar which we call Digit All. So it's for everyone para mas maging inclusive po yung ating society, specifically nga to digital technology and ICT.
Okay, now what about you, Ginbee, with BPI? I have had relationships with your organization for what,
Number
2
of years.
decades.
Yes.
Matagal-tagal na rin, in and out.
Salamat, Cito.
I get to meet your leaders, etc. And I do know for a fact that women in the BPI organization are very empowered, very strong and influential. The question is, how does that culture cascade itself to the lower rank or to the clientele or to the communities that BPI services?
Very good question, Cito. And as you very well know, BPI has been, as you said, you've been with us for 2 decades, but BPI has been here for more than 170 years. And really at the core of what we do is our mission to build a better Philippines. And how can we build a better Philippines if we don't empower more Filipinos to manage their finances better? And interestingly, Cito, in the Philippines, really, when you think about families, who is really managing the financials of a family?
Mhm.
Who makes the budget? It's the woman of the household. The men entrust the management of their finances with the women. And we see that in our own data within the bank. 25%, there are 25% more women who are in the bank with BPI than there are men among our clients, which means that they really are the ones managing finances. And as you go higher, it becomes more balanced. But as you go in the lower income, further lower income, it really swings more to the women, which really tells you that the men entrust management of finances to the woman. Now, how do we help more women do that better in the country? You know, we believe in greater financial inclusion. And we do that, as Christine mentioned, through greater digitalization. Because some of the barriers in the country is really, you know, there are less branches as you move out of Metro Manila. And therefore, to bring them into the fold of becoming banked, we need to make sure that we are able to reach to them. And technology is really a great equalizer. Second is through our BPI Foundation, we promote financial education because financial literacy is critical for us to know how best to manage your finances. And as we go down the grassroots and make sure that the women and the communities are financially literate, then we help the economy progress. I think, Cito, what we need to do also is to embed financial literacy in the curriculum of the Department of Education.
Well, you will not have any arguments from me on that point because my wife and I do support a few kids, and my greatest, well, not great, but one of my recurring annoyance is how some banks require so much from students in order to open a bank account. And I have to call the bank manager and explain, how can a person have financial abilities, intellect, etc. if you won't even open the door for them? Dahil ba kasi wala silang 10,000 na deposit?
Yes.
You will hear, you don't want to hear it from me, Ginbee. But Christine, let's pick up that point, okay? The Commission on Women, what is being done for the young women, the young girls in the country, so that we can prepare them to become women like you and like Ginbee?
The Philippine Commission on Women as a government agency po is mainly focused on policy, making policies. But we do push for policies that really advocate women and children as well. So with regards po to educating our girls, the Philippine Commission on Women is currently working with the 3 educational government agencies, namely CHED, TESDA, and DepEd. And we're trying to come up with a module po to check whether their curriculum are gender responsive and gender neutral. Alam naman po natin, Sir Cito, di ba, na yung mga bata natin, they start learning in their early ages through the books sa school. So, tinitingnan po natin if tama ba na if panahon na siguro na palitan natin yung composition ng family sa books natin na mother, father, brother, daughter. Kasi alam naman natin hindi na ganyan ngayon yung structure ng mga families para maging mas inclusive siya kasi maraming extended families, maraming solo parent family. Marami din po na may mga adopted na kids. So parang hindi na angkop yung mga books natin ngayon. Also, pagdating sa TESDA, nire-review din po natin yung curriculum nila para ma-include yung addressing several gender issues. Like if yung mga courses nila meron po kasing women's center ang TESDA. So tinitingnan po natin if yung mga courses talaga nila sa women's center nila ay talagang meron po siyang ma-explore niya, not only limiting women to certain courses or certain subjects. Kasi kung ang courses na ino-offer po nila ay talagang pambahay lamang like housekeeping or yung pong cooking, ganyan, hindi po siya inclusive. So, ngayon naman po alam natin sa TESDA, they do offer welding courses for women, so scaffolding, so mas open na po siya. Pagdating naman po sa CHED, ganun din po, ipinopromote po talaga natin yung pag-offer ng mga courses na hindi lang po pang babae or hindi lang pang lalaki. So I hope na yung mga kababaihan natin mag-enroll sa mga engineering courses na not typically being enrolled to by women or yung mga courses na naging pang lalaki na lang siya. So yun po yung ine-explore ng Philippine Commission on Women.
Okay, Christine, I'm just curious, kasi gala ako Para akong manok na labuyo basta napakawalan kung saan umaabot. And I have been working with some women who are really poor, really, really poor, and who are so angry. Galit na sa mundo sa kanilang kahirapan. And when I travel between remote places and urban locations, I see a literal disconnect. Kumbaga, yung tayong mga nasa syudad, we who are in the urban setting, are totally clueless of what the challenges are for women in the remote areas. Most of them will violate the law. Magmamaneho na manghihiram ng motorsiklo, magmamaneho kahit walang lisensya kasi wala silang ibang paraan, etc., etc. The sense of desperation. Where are we as far as addressing that disconnect? Kumbaga, I salute you, I salute organizations who fight for gender equality, for lifting up women, but what about yung sabi nga yung mga iba dyan, yung nasa laylayan, naiwanan, nasa laylayan? What is being done about that?
Sir Cito, siguro po i-share ko lang, nung panahon po ng pandemya, ang Philippine Commission on Women...
You're on mute yata, Christine.
Hello po? No, hello? Hello, sir?
Let's try that again. We'll go for a quick break. I think we've had a technical issue. We'll get back to both of you. We'll be right back. My apologies to our viewers and our guests. The technical problem was on my side. My earphone decided to go to heaven this morning. Always good to have a backup. Okay, let's go back to Ma'am Christine. We were talking about what is the Philippine Commission on Women doing about mga nasa liblib na puok, those who are desperately poor and or basically angry, galit sa mundo na.
Well, Sir Cito, as I was trying to share earlier po, the Philippine Commission on Women during the start of the pandemic pa lang po, ang una namin kinonsult ay ang mga kababaihan po sa laylayan. Through our survey with the Oxfam and UN Women, tinanong po kasi namin yung mga kababaihan kung ilang oras sa isang araw ang kanilang ini-spend sa paggawa ng unpaid care and domestic work. Kasi alam naman po natin during that time na lockdown tayong lahat, so we were all inside our homes, lalo na yung mga nanay, aside from doing their work, o kaya ay gawaing bahay, yung mga anak nila 24 hours nandun din sa tahanan, yung asawa nila nandun din. So the study po showed that 13 hours a day on average ang ginugugol ng mga nanay on doing unpaid care and domestic work. Sir Cito, ito po ay Luzon to Mindanao, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And yung aming mga in-interviews are recipients of different projects of UN Women, PCW, as well as Oxfam. So mga grassroots level po talaga sila. At yun nga po, sir, isipin nyo naman 13 hours a day. Kaya naintindihan ko po, maraming babaeng galit na talaga sa mundo. Out of the 24 hours, kung iisipin nyo, kailan pa po sila natutulog, di ba?
Yeah, well, in fact, I remember lecturing one of my disciples. Sabi ko, respect your husband. He's not the enemy. The enemy is poverty, and you must honor your husband also. Kasi ang nangyayari, we turn on our spouse or we turn on our children. Now, Ginbee, I know on your part, for your part, I know that BPI is doing a lot of stuff, but could you just kind of explain some of the stuff that's going on? What are the programs that BPI is undertaking, etc.?
Yeah, Cito, earlier, let me jump off from your earlier point about children and how some banks are not able to bring them into the fold because of the high maintenance deposit requirement. In BPI, we have what you call Jumpstart. It's a deposit account specifically for children, and they are very, very welcome in the bank because we know that starting them young, helping them build savings, the discipline of budgeting will definitely be one of the things that will spell out economic progress, not just for themselves, but also for the entire country. So really starting them young. That's why earlier I mentioned the importance of making financial literacy part of the grassroots transformation and making DepEd a partner in this. And I'm glad that Christine mentioned earlier the programs that they're looking at when it comes to TESDA, SHED, etc. But I really think we need to start at the grassroots and help them bring into the fold the children who will eventually be the future. Second, in terms of near term, those that we can immediately do. As also earlier mentioned, we recognize that infrastructurally, it's really hard for banks to reach the more remote places. As you mentioned, the women in the more remote places struggle economically and have to do work that's not necessarily legitimate. And we recognize that. And so how do we do that? We need to really make digital happen, digital transformation of the entire country happen. Technology is a great enabler aside from education. And for BPI, digital transformation has been our journey for the past 5 years. We have been improving the quality of our digital banking, making it easier for more and more people to open bank accounts right from their phones. So you can now open a bank account without having to go to the branch. And last year, we partnered with GCash. And because we know that they have over 60 million subscribers in GCash. And therefore, GCash can be our distribution channel to enable more Filipinos to become part of the formal banking institutions.
Baka magtataka ka, Ginbee, kung bakit natawa ko when you talked about digital. Kasi
Yes.
before digitalization, full digitalization of BPI, I used to go to the bank regularly, personally. This is all before COVID, way before COVID. And I, just to make palakas to the manager, etc., I would even bring apple crumble baked by my beloved wife. But after digitalization, sino na nga yung manager dyan? Meron pa ba tayong kilala dyan sa bank? Because it's all become digital, okay?
That's right.
But my question is, the profit side of banking is one thing. What about the outreach side of banking? Are there programs that you
Yes.
do at BPI for because like I always say, the best way to teach children is to show them.
That's right. We do have, Cito, through our BPI Foundation, we promote financial education among the youth and among the communities. So we partner with LGUs, we partner with government institutions to enable financial literacy to a greater number of Filipinos. So we do have FinEd in a box. We have a lot of financial education program geared towards the youth and geared towards the women. The other channel by which we are able to promote greater financial inclusion among the communities is really through Banco, our wholly owned subsidiary, which promotes financial inclusion by encouraging MSMEs and funding them and helping them go through the challenges of putting up their small businesses, working capital, and providing them with the tools needed so that they would know how to better manage their small businesses. So these are just some of the things that we are doing, Cito. And of course, our branches are well entrenched in the communities we are in. All of our branches, and because we have a program called BPI Bayan or Bayanihan, all our branches have their own advocacies depending on the communities that they are in. Be it in terms of entrepreneurship, promoting entrepreneurship, or promoting literacy in schools, or promoting cleanliness and environmental sustainability. Our branches, because we are pervasive, we have 750 branches, they are well entrenched in the community and serving them beyond banking.
Okay. Director Balmes or Christine, for your part, for the commission, what other projects you mentioned? Ano na nga ba yun? Internet, digitalization, etc. What more practical things are you implementing or launching as far as the commission is concerned and women are concerned?
Sir Cito, siguro para lang to conceptualize everything, the Philippine Commission on Women po kasi, yung stakeholders namin are national government agencies talaga, not directly po women. So we capacitate these national government agencies para they can implement the Magna Carta of Women and they can mainstream gender in their programs, plans, projects, and activities. But the Philippine Commission on Women as a policy-making agency is pushing po for what we call the Women's Priority Legislative Agenda, and specifically for, na-mention po kasi ni Ma'am Dindi yung mga MSMEs natin. So we are pushing for the Magna Carta of workers in the informal economy. This law po aims to uphold yung rights of our workers in the informal economy, particularly women informal workers po and other marginalized groups, and for providing measures for their transition if matulungan ng BPI from the informal to the formal economy towards realization po of decent work for everyone.
Yeah, well, it's good that you said that, Christine, because in other words, in plain English, kayo yung lobbyist. Kayo
Yes,
yung tilaga, kayo yung naglalakad, kayo yung nagre-represent sa iba-ibang national government agencies so that women's rights, women's interests, and policies are implemented. So, having said that, okay, what is I know the PNP has women and children's desk, gender equality, gender sensitivity, training programs in their personnel, etc. What is our strongest area and what is our weakest point?
Well, sir, share ko lang po. You've said earlier in the start of the program that the Philippines is actually doing good in the global level. So in the Global Gender Gap Report, the current rate of progress in the Philippines, we are, the global gender gap is only 68.1%, and it will take 132 years daw po to reach gender equality. But in the Philippines, we are number 19 in this Global Gender Gap Report in the whole world. So in Asia and the Pacific, we are number 2. In our neighboring countries, we are the first po. So, ang highest level natin, they are addressing 4 sectors, namely education, economic empowerment, political participation, and health. So, ang highest po natin is education. Pero lowest po tayo sa political participation because we have until now low outcome pa rin po even after the last election in number of seats for women in House of Representatives and in the Senate as well.
But is that an issue? Is that a problem? Because I know that, I mean, masarap matawag congresswoman, masarap matawag senadora. Kung puro ka naman gastos, puro ka naman sakit ng ulo, doon na lang ako sa bahay, hawakan ko lahat ng kwarta.
Well, sir, since half po ang population natin, half women, half men, hindi po ba dapat kalahati din sana ng representation in Congress and in the Senate as well as LGUs, yung mga kababaihan para marinig din o ma-voice out din itong mga women leaders natin kung ano yung ating mga issues and concerns or mga pangangailangan po nila lalo na sa grassroots level.
Yeah, but so you're saying even with such how do you call it, progressive agenda such as giving women 3-day leave for their menstrual cycle, giving women maternity leaves, etc., recognizing their physiological needs, hindi pa rin well represented ang women's interests and needs?
Well, hindi pa rin po, sir. Mataas pa rin po yung ating reported cases on gender-based violence as well as violence against women and their children. And kaya nga po, annually, we also celebrate the 18-day campaign to end VOW. If familiar po kayo dito, it starts from November 25 to December 12. So, aside po dyan, medyo marami pa rin po tayong mga misogynistic na, yung kultura po natin medyo patriarchal pa din. Alam naman po natin ito, although siguro sa family nyo, sir, I admire you with what you have shared earlier, pero the usual po sa community, lalo na po sa community, lalaki pa rin po ang mas may boses.
Okay, but isn't that because a result of poverty, more of poverty than mentality? Kasi parang I find it ironic, Director, that we are number 2, number 1 in terms of gender equality, etc. And then we are behind in terms of that area. Parang hindi kaya poverty issue ito and not mentality.
Well, sure, kaya nga po.
Yung violence, yung violence against women.
Yes, sir. Mababa din talaga po yung help-seeking behavior ng mga kababaihan. And VOW is manifestation po kasi ng gender inequality. So, siguro kasama na rin po dyan, syempre, yung poverty. And yun nga po, sir, that's why we do the 18-day campaign annually to address that.
Okay, Ginbee,
Yes.
what about in the banking sector or among women in your community or your professional level? Where are the strong points and where are the weak points?
Well, before I answer that, Cito, and maybe it is in a way related to your question to Christine, no? Is it really poverty more than mental
Mentality.
state of mind? I think it's both, but really a big chunk of that is financial empowerment, right?
Mhm.
Poverty becomes an issue because people don't know how to get out of it. So we need to enable Filipinos to learn about how to manage their finances better, be financial literate, educate them. And therefore, because they're educated, they now have better capacity to make decisions on their own and also act on these decisions with greater confidence. So marami sa mga kababaihan is really because they're dependent on their spouses for livelihood to sustain their family. So pag ganon, they really just accept their fate. And so my personal view there is we need to really help enable our young and our women to be more financial literate so that they will feel empowered and become more financially independent. So to me, those are, and that's why it's related to the strengths and the weaknesses. You know, the strength is that we see that compared to other countries, we're in a better position in terms of economic participation, healthcare and educational attainment. But is this enough? No, it is not enough. We can still do more, as mentioned by Christine. And it has to do with public-private partnership.
Are you hopeful, Ginbee? Because, I know of a segment, my daughter's age group, they're that generation 23 that they see school, career now as their priority, personal growth as their priority. But the ones that follow that is the K-pop, the romance, the Korean telenovela, etc. And I'm saying, God help us. They're now all going to go back to the disease that my generation suffered, romanticizing life and falling into that dependency factor. Are you hopeful na we can turn the tide and tell girls, yung jowa-jowa, makakagulo yan sa karir? As a nurse, a nurse told me that, sir, hindi ako nagjojowa. Bakit? Kasi bala ko mag-abroad, bala ko mag-pursue a life abroad. So, good for you.
Yes, and there are quite a number of studies, Cito, that the Gen Zs are actually more woke. They really have strong advocacies when it comes to greater inclusion, whether it's gender, whether it's faith, it's culture. They don't even know anymore. They don't care what your gender is. It doesn't matter to them. And therefore it gives us great hope that the Gen Zs and the young are really more inclusive. That, I think, is something that we can really look forward to.
Okay.
A future that is more inclusive.
Yeah, let me ask Christine. Christine, where can we be of help? Kasi mahirap maging lobbyist. Lalo na kung ini-small ka ng mga maaangas na mga agency heads yan. Where can we help you and what departments or areas do we have to harass to get their attention for women and gender equality?
Well, Sir Cito, hindi naman po siguro harass. But we do, siguro po, it took 11 years para po ma-approve yung expanded maternity health law. So, ganun po siya katagal talaga i-lobby. I think yung menstrual leave na sinasabi, medyo matagal pa po siya rin. And the Philippine Commission on Women, annually po, we do consultations to make sure that everybody is represented. Sir, if you know of women's organizations that we can invite, in a few months po, we'll be conducting the feedback forum for the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women 67, wherein we invite all the stakeholders na kilala po namin at maaabot namin so that they can also give their views kung ano po yung mga naging agreements and mga na-push po na mga pag-usapan dun sa UNCSW. And also, sir, we do have information campaigns to make sure that the media is also gender responsive. Meron po kaming gender fair language that we hope all media people are aware of.
Okay, well, let me go now to Ginbee. Ginbee, as far as BPI is concerned, what areas or what should people know about the bank's programs, and where is the organization headed as far as women empowerment is concerned?
Well, Cito, just to give you an overview of the mix of our female, male in the workforce, because earlier you mentioned that. And maybe by doing so, you will see how we are also internally embracing equity, no? and gender equity. Our mix of female, male in the bank is 67% female, 33% male.
Mhm.
And as you move up, the senior leadership is 50-50,
Mhm.
which really tells you we are serious about gender equity, because we provide opportunities in the bank for women to move up and progress in their career. And we understand and give them the necessary interventions so that they can fulfill their roles. There are other roles that men don't do. For example, raising a family, all these house chores that we need to do. And part of that is we encourage partnership with our own spouses, respecting the family and making sure that everyone in the family is involved and is a partner, and the spouse is a very critical partner to this. Hindi sila kalaban, as you mentioned earlier, Sita.
Mhm.
So from that standpoint, you will see that at the core of all our transformation and really building a better Philippines is making sure that we provide equal opportunities to all. And we anchor this on education, financial education and literacy, and on technology, which we truly believe are great equalizers. But having said that, we also make sure that we provide greater access to more Filipinos so that they will become more banked. So we have a lot of products now that provide for greater affordability, whether it's through the deposits, which I mentioned earlier. We have something for the kids, more accessible deposit account opening through the digital channel. And then we also have on the loan side, we recently launched the My Bahay housing loan program, which extends the housing loan term up to 30 years and reduces the down payment to 5%. We also have now all-in financing for our auto loans.
You know what? I'm going to just schedule you for another interview because you suddenly got my attention. Okay. I want to talk about all of those programs, but ladies, we've run out of time, and we all know that this is not going to be discussed in one show. But nonetheless, if we talk about it, it stays on the table. The subject matter doesn't go away, so we can address it. But anyway, I'd like to thank you, Ma'am Christine Josefina Balmes, Deputy Executive Director for Operations of Philippine Commission on Women. And thank you also, Maria Cristina Binuo, no? Ginbee, Executive Vice President, Head Consumer Banking, Bank of the BPI. Yeah, I'm serious about that, Ginbee. I want to discuss those programs because people need to know what's available out there. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Salamat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's now go to our closing blessing for the week. And it is from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 13. And the Lord will make you the head and not the tail, and you shall only go up and not down, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today, being careful to do them. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm Cito Beltran, wishing you a good week. God bless all of you, and please keep it here on One News.